My name is Zack Rocha. I'm an activist and poet and sing for the band Rage Against the Machine. I hope you don't mind me reading this statement I've prepared, because every so often, in the course of a country's development, a moment arises that will define its direction and its character as it moves into the future. After looking at the policy and practice of the Homeland Security Department's 287G agreements, overseen by former Governor Napolitano, and the devastating and inhuman effects upon core migrant communities throughout the nation, it is clear that we are once again at a crossroads. Two roads that dangerously intersect here in Arizona. Perhaps no one in the country has come to serve as an example of the human rights crisis that this policy has unearthed than the shameful administration of Sheriff Arpaio.
I think it's me.
His wild misuse of state and federal funds to target the most vulnerable and non-violent within his jurisdiction has sent violent crime rates skyrocketing, while his deputized vigilantes roam the communities of Maricopa County in black ski masks, donning automatic weapons, intent on creating a state of terror. Without proper warrants, he raids the homes and workplaces of janitors and gardeners. At routine traffic stops, he detains and deports mothers, violently separating them from their children who are left abandoned on the street. By unlawfully detaining, harassing, and undermining the right to due process, Arpaio arrogantly tramples upon the laws he was empowered to defend. By treating entire communities of workers, subjecting them to a form of racist paramilitary intimidation, treating them as if they were terrorists, Arpaio becomes precisely what he sets out to destroy. And by parading human beings shackled in chain gang stripes in a misguided effort to collectively humiliate and dehumanize an entire population, he reopens the wounds from which we all still suffer by evoking the painful memories of the era of slavery and segregation.
Amen.
And by doing so, has not only brought shame upon the state of Arizona, but is bringing shame upon the entire nation. And if Janet Napolitano seeks to fulfill her mission as head of the so-called Homeland Security Department, she must recognize the dangerous threshold that the 287G agreements have crossed. She must deal directly and quickly with the real threat to peace and security here in Arizona by terminating the 287G agreements with Sheriff Arpaio's office and join the courageous members of Congress who have begun an investigation into his criminal behavior. Under the current policy made possible by the 287G agreements, the typical federal screening for those deputized has been thrown out of the window. And as a result, a brutal and new formation has formed. This brutal union of ICE agents and local police, along with the deputization of extreme right-wing elements, is nothing short of a paramilitary terror squad. Formations like this terrorize African-American communities, primarily throughout the South, as black people organized for their civil and human rights in the 50s and 60s. Then those vigilantes were called the Ku Klux Klan, or the White Neighborhood Councils. The clear difference now being that the state and federal government is not only sanctioning them, but funding and training them.
That's right.
Woo. Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
The poor and disenfranchised people whom this backwards and racist policy is targeted seek nothing other than the unalienable rights that any man, woman, or child on this planet deserve. They seek nothing other than fair wages, decent livable housing, decent schools for their children, respect for their culture, justice, dignity, and peace. And I challenge anyone to argue, I challenge anyone to argue that these popular aspirations lie in discord with basic democratic values. Now we have seen the likes of Joe Arpaio come and go throughout history, and history has never treated them kindly. But when you depend upon the humiliation of others, the brutalization of others for your own political gain, then you pitch yourself against millions of people whose daily life revolves around the preservation of their dignity, who will never stop in the struggle to defend it. Joe Arpaio has now put himself right in the middle of the tracks in front of a speeding train.
That's right.
And will be seen. And will be seen as nothing but a stain on the road to progress.
That's right.
To close, I would like to extend this moment to recognize all of the people and all of us here in the state of Arizona whose lives have been turned upside down by the deepening economic crisis. Honest and hardworking people who have had their jobs stolen, their homes, their savings, their livelihoods stolen. And a person in my position can only imagine the effects that this crisis has had upon you. I'm extending this call to you because in these moments when it becomes apparent that the communities that have been so terrorized and scapegoated have nothing to do with the assault upon your livelihood. The names of the people who are assaulting your livelihood are not Garcia, Martinez, Armador, or De La Rocha. They are the heads of Merrill Lynch and AIG and Finally, we are in a position to tear down this myth and join with other workers across this state and across this country to join and struggle against the kind of racist terror that Joe Arpaio is using to distract us and divide us. Thank you for having me. Let's end this 287.